We're about 10 or 12 miles outside of Yuma. We stopped to take a look at a local museum. Traditional Cocopah summer home. $1800s, I'd say. Not much rain, just need a lot of shade. We are about 18 miles east and north of Yuma. This thing will shoot a 600-pound shell almost 18 miles. Frankly, it's just too hot. The main museum was closed for unknown reasons, according to the woman at the guard shack. I had forgotten to mention this is the atomic cannon. They would carry it around on a rail car, and it was capable of shooting a tactical nuclear shell. And when that shell went off, it looked just like the atomic bombs that you would see anywhere, except there was a much smaller one. I'm sure you can Google it. There's a picture of the shell going off in the background with the gun in the foreground. Check it out on the internet. Just a few miles from the proving ground entrance, I saw this sign. Maybe it'll be air conditioned. And then again, maybe not. Monument to the military. Well, the gift shop is open, but the museum is closed for reservation. The lady inside says, heaven knows when. We're about 100 miles east of Yuma now, almost in Gila Bend, and we took a side trip about 10 miles off of the highway to go to the Painted Rock petroglyph site. They're mostly found, the petroglyphs, on this pile of rocks here. Of course, I'm sure they're in other places in the desert, perhaps some of them not even discovered yet. Very faint. All of these rocks are decorated with symbolisms. Deer spirals, supposed to be the moon, lizards. We're almost at the Mexican border. In fact, the road leading to Oregon Pipe Cactus National Monument ends at the border, and there's a crossing station. It is considered by AAA to be a scenic route, and if you like the desert, it certainly is that. To think that there's no life out here is a misnomer. Most Easterners think that there's nothing out here but sand. But except for the large cactus, this is a more normal desert of the Southwest. There's a lot of life out here. Mountains are caused by continental drift, where the two plates are rubbing and pushing against each other. One of them will go under, the other one will go down, or up rather, the one going up creating the mountains. But these out here in the west are often caused by volcanic activity. The lava magnum will puff up the earth from below, creating a hill or a large hill, and sometimes, of course, blow through, often both. That you end up with these mountains here. They're much more ragged and much more newer, I might add. You can tell they're newer because they're more craggy. There's more straight lines. They're not worn down. These larger cactus could easily be 100 to 150 years old. You see that folded appearance? Like an accordion. It literally works the same way. But it's not like a tree or another animal full of fat. It's water. The more water inside, the fatter the cactus will be. These are saguaro cactus, and it'll give you an idea what they look like inside, what the framework looks like, the skeleton if you wish. We're in Tucson, near downtown, in what's called the Barrio Historico, if I'm pronouncing that right. These Sonoran-style homes were built between 1860 and the 1920s. They have a front right at the sidewalk, and they're row houses, so they're touching each other by and large, and they have a common backyard area. I suspect many of them have now been turned into rentals, but maybe not. Not what we think of as a barrio when we go home. Very nice looking area. In Tucson, the Mini Time Machine, a museum of miniatures. Some of the old stuff. (1909). A general store. Coca-Cola machine. Note the bottles at the lower left. Packets of seed. The Grazia Gallery in the Sun. It's in the National Register of Historic Places. (4,000 pieces of artwork here. Well known for his paintings that have no eyes or nose. He worked in many mediums, except he didn't like oil, watercolors, clay, everything else you could think of. Very impressive building. It's a mission. I can't really pronounce it properly. We'll take a look at the sign. established in the 1600s. This building was built in the 1800s. Go on pause if you need to read about the history of the church. Excuse me, how do you pronounce the name of the mission?
San Javier.
Santa Vir?
No, San Javier.
San Javier.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you. It's a weird looking helicopter. It's the third largest aircraft museum in the world after the Smithsonian and then the U.S. Air Force Museum. 300 aircraft. This big one is a B-29. A Lockheed Constellation. You don't see civilian aircraft at museums normally because only the federal government with your tax money can give away airplanes. This aircraft with the 6 pusher engines was the Peacemaker, designed during World War II. It never entered service as the war ended. Before. Did this aircraft fly 2 presidents on the same day? It was used by both Kennedy and Johnson. I'll have to find out if it flew President Kennedy into Dallas and President Johnson out of Dallas. The MiG that the Koreans used in Korea. It outclassed our aircraft at the time until we developed the Sabrejet, which outclassed the MiG by quite a bit. This one has Canadian markings on it. Ultra secret in its day, the Blackbird reconnaissance aircraft. In fact, it's Biosphere 2. You may want to pause and read this. This is Biosphere 2, keeping in mind that Biosphere 1 is the Earth itself. It's the first man-made and only man-made attempt to replicate Earth. A team of, I believe, 8 people went in the early 90s, sealed themselves in, and lived here for 2 years. They almost made it through the 2 years self-sustaining. They started to run low on oxygen and they ran low on calories. They had a nutritious diet, they just didn't have the calories. But with the addition of oxygen pumped in, they did make it a low-cal diet.
We're going to take turns up at the rail.
Square feet, and from the basement to the ceiling, 91 feet tall. And again, this is Dr. Gosman Hard's lab. So you see the steel tower in the distance? That's one of
This lab, they rub elbows together. During the drought, they can do their own work, but then at the end of the drought, they can step back and look at this for what it is, a system. So first of all, let's talk about animals and insects. Look where I'm pointing right now. Through the glass, do you see the white warehouse?
This is a dining room, a kitchen. And we'll go up here to the living quarters. It's a living space for one person. The spiral staircase goes up to a queen bed, and every 2 rooms shared a bath. Plenty of water.